Fear doesn't show up the way you think it does. It doesn't always look like panic. It doesn't always feel like anxiety. Sometimes it looks like hesitation. Sometimes it looks like waiting for confirmation. Sometimes it looks like closing a winning trade too early. And sometimes it looks like doing absolutely nothing. Most traders don't lose because they don't know what to do. They lose because fear quietly controls every decision they make. And the worst part, they don't even realize it's happening. If you've ever watched price move exactly how you predicted, without you in the trade, if you've ever cut a winner too early, only to watch it run without you, if you've ever hesitated, froze, or second-guessed yourself, then this isn't just a video. This is the mirror you've been avoiding. Let me tell you something most traders never fully accept. Fear is not your enemy, but misunderstanding fear is what destroys you. You see, fear is natural. It's wired into you. Your brain is designed to protect you from danger, but the market is not a physical threat, and yet your brain reacts to it as if it is. Every time you enter a trade, your mind whispers, "What if you're wrong? What if you lose money? What if this trade fails?" And without realizing it, you begin to act in ways that protect you emotionally, but sabotage you financially. You hesitate. You avoid good setups. You exit too early. You override your system, not because your strategy is bad, but because fear has taken control of your perception. And until you understand this, you will keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. Most traders believe fear comes from losing money. That's not true. Fear comes from uncertainty, and more specifically, your inability to accept uncertainty. You want to know what's going to happen next. You want certainty. You want guarantees. But the market doesn't offer that. It never has. It never will. Every trade is uncertain. Even your best setup, even your most perfect entry, even your highest probability trade can lose. And this is where the conflict begins, because deep down, you don't just want to win, you need to win. You need it to validate your decision. You need it to feel in control. You need it to prove that you're right. So when you enter a trade, you're not just risking money, you're risking your identity. And that's why fear becomes so powerful, because now it's not just about the trade, it's about you. And when your sense of self is tied to the outcome, fear becomes unavoidable. You start to see threats where there are none. You start to interpret normal market movement as danger. A small pullback feels like a reversal. A minor fluctuation feels like a loss of control. And suddenly, you're reacting emotionally instead of thinking probabilistically. The first lesson you must understand is this: you are not trading the market. You are trading your beliefs about the market. If you believe that every trade must work, then every losing trade will feel like a failure, and fear will intensify. But if you truly accept that losses are part of the game, then fear begins to lose its grip, because nothing unexpected is happening. The second lesson is this: you must learn to think in probabilities, not possibilities. Possibilities create fear. Probabilities create peace. When you think in possibilities, your mind says, "This trade could fail," and it focuses on the negative outcome. But when you think in probabilities, your mind says, "Over a series of trades, this edge plays out," and suddenly, one trade doesn't matter as much. The third lesson is this: you must detach from individual outcomes. This is where most traders struggle, because they measure success one trade at a time. But consistency doesn't come from individual trades. It comes from a series of trades executed correctly. If you follow your process, then you've already succeeded, regardless of the outcome. The fourth lesson is this: fear thrives in the need to be right. Let go of that need. The market doesn't reward being right. It rewards consistency. You can be wrong on many trades, and still be profitable. But if you need to be right, you will interfere with your trades. You will cut winners short. You will let losers run. You will break your rules. And fear will control everything. The fifth lesson is this. Emotional discipline is not about eliminating fear. It's about acting correctly despite fear. Fear may never disappear completely, but it doesn't have to control you. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. A trader sees a perfect setup. Everything aligns. The entry is clear. The risk is defined. But they hesitate. They think, let me wait for a bit more confirmation. Price moves. The trade goes exactly as expected, without them. That's fear, not lack of knowledge, not lack of skill. Fear. Another trader enters a trade. It starts moving in profit, slowly. Then price pulls back slightly. Nothing abnormal. But fear kicks in. What if it reverses? What if I lose this profit? They close the trade early. Minutes later, price continues in the original direction. That's fear. A third trader takes a loss, a normal loss, within their risk. But emotionally, it feels bigger. They want to make it back quickly. They jump into another trade. No clear setup, no proper analysis, just urgency. That's fear disguised as revenge. And here's the pattern. Fear causes hesitation. Fear causes premature exits. Fear causes impulsive decisions. And all of it comes from the same root, the inability to accept uncertainty. There is a moment every trader must reach, a moment where everything changes. It's not when you find the perfect strategy. It's not when you have a winning streak. It's when you truly accept this. You don't need to know what will happen next to make money. Read that again. You don't need to know. Because once you accept that, you stop trying to control the market and you start focusing on controlling yourself. You stop predicting and start executing. You stop fearing losses and start accepting them. You stop reacting emotionally and start thinking in probabilities. This is the shift from fear to freedom. Because now, a losing trade is just one outcome in a series. A winning trade is just one outcome in a series. And neither defines you. You begin to see the market differently, not as a threat, but as a field of opportunities. Some will work, some won't. And that's okay. Because your job is not to be right. Your job is to execute your edge consistently. So how do you actually apply this? It starts before you even enter a trade. You define your risk, not just financially, but emotionally. You decide in advance, this is how much I'm willing to lose on this trade. And once you accept that amount completely, there is nothing to fear, because the worst case scenario is already accounted for. Then you execute your trade without hesitation, without second guessing, because hesitation is fear trying to protect you, but protection in trading often leads to missed opportunities. After entering the trade, you let it play out. You don't interfere. You don't micromanage. You don't react to every tick, because you understand that anything can happen, and that's okay. Then comes the most important part. You evaluate your performance based on your process, not the outcome. Did you follow your rules? Did you execute your plan? Did you manage your risk correctly? If the answer is yes, then it was a successful trade, even if it lost. This is how you rewire your mind. This is how you break free from fear, not by avoiding it, but by changing how you respond to it. Fear will always be there, in some form, at some level, but it doesn't have to control you. It doesn't have to define your results, because the truth is, fear is not what's holding you back. It's your relationship with fear. When you stop trying to eliminate it and start understanding it, everything changes. You become calmer, more focused, more consistent. Not because the market changed, but because you did. And in that moment, you realize something powerful. The edge was never just in your strategy. It was in your mindset. It was in your ability to act with clarity in a world of uncertainty. So the next time you feel fear, don't run from it. Don't fight it. Just recognize it. And then execute anyway, because that is what separates the average trader from the consistently profitable one. This content is inspired by the teachings of Mark Douglas,